Wow, it's just 2 days before Christmas, and I was determined after seeing Yella's video about thread grafts that maybe I'll do a thread graft, and eagerly I grabbed this maple whip. Lovely maple this, by the way. Got it between my fingers, and then you know what happened? Hi, yeah, it's Xavier, and welcome to a bonsai retreat. And yeah, look, we're a day or two before Christmas, so I'll say straight away, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and hopefully a very glorious and bonsai-full New Year. You want to know what happens when I played with this maple? Well, first of all, let's have a little look at it, shall we? This has got an absolutely incredible trunk line, loads of movement, really interesting. I actually bought it for a couple of pounds at a local nursery, probably about 5 years ago, and I really didn't know what to do. I even went through a stage where I had it, believe it or not, as a semi-cascade stroke. I think I had a full cascade based on that, but I found that the maples just don't like growing in a cascade direction. That's what I've discovered anyway. But look at that trunk line, beautiful. Yeah, and as you gathered probably from the intro, probably a week ago or so, I watched Yella growing bonsai, his time-lapse video where he'd done a thread graft on a Japanese maple quite successfully, and he pricked my ears because the date that he said he did it was like the 14th of December, and I thought, isn't that a bit late? But you know what? Yella and I get on really well, and he's right. You can't do stuff like that. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to go and do that. And eagerly, with these little fingers, I reached for my maple here, which has got loads and loads of whips, ready for thread grafts, and looked ahead to the weather forecast, because that is important, and realised that there's no frosts for a good couple of weeks, so should be mild. And in I went, and I thought, do you know what? Let's grab one of these whips, and, well, I think it was this one here. And I started to bend it, and well, as you've probably just seen, I snapped it. I went back into Yella's video and realised that there's one disadvantage with doing the old skip. And well, many of you will now be putting in the comments saying exactly what that disadvantage is in skipping videos. All right, I do actually realise this fact, but I had forgotten. Our maples, they're shutting down for the winter. We should be leaving them alone, really. And that's not to say you can't do that thread graft operation. In fact, we're going to discuss why perhaps I wouldn't. And anyway, the thing he was talking about was brittleness. And indeed, as you saw already, when you try and bend these things, they look like they're going to do all right, and then suddenly they just snap. And you don't get the warning that you would normally get if it was in the spring or the summer. So, yeah, that was a bit of a problem, but we'll get rid of that. So clearly, you've got to be really aware. One, you don't want to have sort of frost weather coming through, because that is going to be problematic if you do any sort of pruning work this time of the year. I mean, my fingers are blue now. You are going to have problems with brittleness. And bearing in mind, we're wanting to bring these around to thread through. We need them to be a little bit supple. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is to put that tree away. None of the whips are long enough, and definitely I could feel just how brittle they were. One broke, two broke. I've only got a few more whips left, so leave it. We'll do that in spring. It isn't going to make a difference. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Instead, in the spirit of challenges and stuff like that, I've got this very long whip that's been growing on this Trident, and I've got a lot of flexibility right at the end, which means I don't need to worry too much about this part, which is quite inflexible, but I can quite happily take that part around and potentially whack one out that way. So we are going to do a thread graft, and yeah, I accept. Do I need to do it now? Probably not. But you know what? For the sake of interest, we're going to whack that thread graft in there in a minute, and we're going to follow it and see how it actually works through next year, because I actually want to do a comparison video alongside this where we see what happens with the thread graft done now and one that's done when we might traditionally do it end of February before the buds start to swell. But before we go into more discussion on the dangers of doing it now, why not we have a little look at some of the incredible photographs that have been sent in for the rest of 2025. I tell you what, it's absolutely brilliant seeing those photographs. It's good to see that some people are sending through video, and I really enjoy seeing them, and hopefully you're all enjoying seeing them. And I say, if you want to send photographs or stuff through to be on the channel, then all you need to do, apart from go to the description where you'll see my email address, is send them through expressionsbonsai@gmail.com. There won't be any more probably until February maybe, when I start putting some videos out. More of that in a minute. But I'd love to see them, and it's all part of this community I love. So before we get on to some of the ridiculous bloopers or funny things I've done this year, let's whack a hole through here, shall we, and just do a quick thread graft. I think the thing we want to take note on this tree is it's got quite a pronounced concave or convex, whatever, curve here. So if I was going to be doing a thread graft, I'm not going to be putting it on basically the inside of a bend. So really I've set it up so that I can take it out that way. So I'm going to be doing a hole that allows me to poke this branch out that way. And the first thing I say to you when we do our thread grafts, we drill opposite to the way we're going. So because we want that branch to go out that way, our entry point is actually going to be from that side. And that's all about the size of the blowback or the hole you get. On this side, which is the dead side, we're going to get a bigger hole created. So we want a nice smooth joint there. So all I need to do is make sure I get a drill bit that is the right size for those. And then we'll poke it through. With my drill, it's variable speed. I've got it on 5. Make sure you don't put it on hammer drill, otherwise you're going to hammer 7 bells out of your tree. I've put a little pilot hole there, and then I'm carefully, bearing in mind I want to go through the centre of the core. I want it to have a slight upward angle. And if we look in there, there's the little hole we've created, nice and clean. But conversely, we've actually had quite a lot of blowout from this side. It's not too bad, to be fair. Must be honest, I'm quite happy with that. So now we just need to do some threading. And then carefully, because what we don't want to be doing is knocking our buds off. Got one set out. Can I get this second set out? Hopefully, there we go. It's lovely. Probably going to struggle with that third set. So that's what I want. Oh, no, we get the third set out. In fact, looks like we're going to get the fourth set out. And that's going to give us a nice branch up in that direction. What I do want to do is just make sure I've given this I want to make sure I've sealed this in, so that the main thing here is we've got two things we need to ensure that we do at this time of the year, is we make sure that there's no way nasty bugs or infections or anything can get in. So I've got some of the cut putty at the top. And the other thing we're trying to make sure we avoid happening is movement. So I've sealed that in. And then I carefully take the wire and I'm using it as much. I've got to be careful, because what I don't want to do is, if this is successful, we're going to get expansion happening of the this one here. What I don't want to do is go to all the trouble of creating a new branch and then end up ruining it because of wire scars and marks. So there you go. That's now in place. I'll put the same on that side, and well, hopefully that's going to give me the branch that I want. Got some buds here and some buds here, and I am very carefully just going to put a little bit of movement upwards on it. And this is definitely something I'm going to be a little bit careful about doing, and that'll do. Anyone ask me about that one, and what's the problem? You might say, hey, you already had this branch here, why were you bending it round? And it's all relative to the orientation of that, and a particular bad bend it has really in close here. And this is a bit of an experimental maple. I'm quite happy with it as a trident, but I want to get this branch coming out here. It's right on the apex of a bend. Nice wound there I want to heal up. And I want to see how it goes on. And sometimes it's me just having a bit of an experiment and a play. So I've done the thread graft. And I'll say to you now, the other reason why I wouldn't actually recommend doing them this time of the year, and it's not to say they don't work and they're not successful, because again, your conditions do count, but it's getting cold. If you do any damage like that and break them, the tree is not equipped to deal with it. And the other thing I'd say and venture is, at this time of the year when the tree is going dormant, what do you actually gain by doing it? What have I gained by doing that thread graft? Apart from potentially stressing the tree, will I get growth over the next 6 weeks? Well, I'll say no, I don't think I will get growth. Will anything happen that will show that there's a greater benefit doing it now rather than in mid-February? And truthfully, I actually don't see any advantage in doing it now. So yeah, you probably can do it, but I don't think you gain anything from doing it before Christmas rather than a month after or 6 weeks after. So that versus the potential risk of breaking whips or indeed of introducing infections, well, you tell me. I've done it, and I've done it to make the point that sometimes, although it may be safe to do something, is it worth the extra risk, the extra hazard, when actually I could wait until just before the buds start to swell? Because that is one reason why you might decide to do it now. Because these have got big buds on them, really. They come out, they're great big ear lugs. If you miss that that period next year in sort of mid-February to heading towards March, and they start to swell, the hole you have to create is getting bigger and bigger. Now that's not insurmountable, but perhaps if you've got a busy time schedule, lots to do, you might think, you know what, I'll do it now when these buds are at their absolute smallest, the tree's dormant. Yes, the whips are a little bit inflexible, but so long I secure it, so long I sort of isolate it, keep it safe from frosts, make sure I've sealed the wounds in, keep it away from the wind so it doesn't move about, then actually I've saved myself some time. I've got the buds at their smallest. And there you go. That's the reason why you might want to do it now before Christmas. But if you miss this, I tell you what, just look out. Try and get it when those buds just start changing colour. And for me, I'll be looking at doing all the thread grafts probably last few weeks of February, maybe. It's all about watching the tree, having a look. You'll probably find you'll get an indicator from one of your other trees, and you'll go, right, let's get these thread grafts done. But no risk is doing it in the latter stage of winter, assuming you're not going to get any big frosts, rather than now, when I've now got to put up with potentially 6 weeks of unknown weather, unknown levels of frost, and the risk of what I may introduce into that hole. So we'll watch this with quite a bit of anticipation, and obviously I'll let you know next spring, maybe even later, how it's getting on. So who wants to see a few mishaps in the bonsai retreat? Just make sure that there's do something a little bit more. That nearly fell off. Saps, resins, or indeed, no. Now, for those of you who've grown oats, grown oats. For those of you who know liters. That must be some of the spray going up my nose. Always good for health and safety. This video has got more than just Acer purpureum, a terrible maple species for bonsai, in my opinion. Acer purpureum, or thereabouts, is a Japanese maple species. Then this gives the tree time still, while the leaves are still just dropping, to redistribute that establishes where the new leader or the new leading shoot, gosh, Carla, what's the word? There'll have been a lot of, there will have been a lot of, wouldn't there?
It's more brown than red, I think.
Sorry, you think it's more brown than red?
Yeah.
So, that's probably a better thing for the comments, isn't it? Do you think Adams is brown or red? I'd call you strawberry blonde, but I'm not sure you take that well.
No, I don't mind.
Okay, so where do we go? What's in the box?
In the box is, I firstly brought some wire.
Actually, stop there.
Okay.
You will need to speak towards that. Just remember something with yellow.
Okay. We'll go again?
We'll go again, that's fine. You speak a little bit louder.
Okay.
Because you're softly spoken.
Sorry.
You're undemanding.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll go again.
So you said something. What's in the box?
In the box is a few gifts for you that I sell in my store, and I also shipped over some copper wire because you. Oh, hold on. I can't say that you.
No, stop.
I can't say that I know the tree.
No. I tell you what. No, I know why. You can say I've never used copper wire before, but we don't even need to talk about copper wire.
Okay.
We don't talk about copper
This is your copper wire in the video. We'll say this.
No, you can talk about that when you're there because it won't.
Okay, again.
That whole thing is going to be.
Okay,
Right.
we'll start again.
What's that again? Take.
Hold on. Cut the back on this, you see. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hold on.
Take 9. We'll leave it at that, shall we? I've got this lovely box in my hand.
How about, right, I just present it to you again. We'll start all over.
Here, take this. Can I go, ooh, what's in your hand?
You ready?
Yeah. Hang on now, go back, hang on. We're going to do this properly. Do you know what? Adam's got something in his lap and I want to reach down and take it. What have you got?
Yeah, I'm in the frame. Yep. Yeah, you're slightly that way. A little more that way.
A little more that way.
And then, yeah, you can see the tree.
Okay. Right, believe it or not, we've...
A little bit of this. I mean, everyone's got their own fertilizer regime, so it's just...
This is what we really want to see.
Yeah.
Here it is, and yeah, it's felt like it's been a really... So I think the way we'll do this for a bit of fun. So I think the way we'll do this for a bit of fun is I'll spin it unpruned. Now the main thing to consider here, this isn't... Those dogs are going to drive me nuts. This is definitely not... Oh dear. This is definitely... I can't do it with that. Let's just take all of that growth out. Ow. Hawthorn have thorns, they hurt. Ow! Little baby I am. So tell me about this. Hold on. Looks like this planter is. You know when you start something and you never realise that you're going to create a great big bucket of pain? Well, hopefully you had a bit of a chuckle over some of those things. You know, all sorts of things happen in the retreat. And for those of you wondering, you know, I started the video off saying this is why you shouldn't do a thread graft now. And it's just to sort of remind you, I'm now around the 14th of December. And I went ahead and did one. And I think the reason why I've done it is, one, I've never done one this late in the year. And I saw yellow doer and I thought I'd actually like to see if there is any advantage. And I think this is what it is. Sometimes when you've got as many trees as I have, you can sort of take a few chances. And I do want to see if there's an advantage, because I do have lots of thread grafts I want to do. And if I know that I have the ability to do them at this time of the year, or perhaps a week earlier, then it saves me time next year. Equally, I am going to do a load of thread grafts in sort of February time, and then perhaps we can do a little comparison video when we go to separation stage much later in 2026. I think that'll be something worth seeing. Don't ever rule out different operations. It's a bit like me and wiring Japanese larches. There was me 3 years ago saying I never wire them in winter. It's bad practice, things die. Do you know what? They don't. And it's just about your attention. It's about understanding your local climate. It's about caring for your tree. But ultimately, it's about saying, do I gain anything from doing it at a period when it's less conducive to success? So for most of you out there, especially beginners, wait until the late winter, early spring, before those buds start to open up. Apart from that, hey, we're now all building into Christmas, and I wish you all the happiness for the Christmas break, the Christmas period. You'll start getting uploads through January and February, probably one a week like I did last year. And for those of you who missed it, the camera started to topple, and we had a very near calamity for the end of the year. And just to remind you what it looked like from the camera's point of view, and perhaps my scream of anguish, sometime in January, where I'll start. No. So, from Xavier, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for viewing. Thank you very much for all the time you've spent watching my videos. And look, you want a really interesting, fun Christmas carol with a bonsai slant? Please, that's the one to listen to. It's absolutely fantastic. And big apologies, a couple of you sent in words for new verses. I'm determined to get the kids to help me sing along with that in the 2026 Christmas version. So there you go. That's the one to watch. It only takes a few minutes. Enjoy. Apart from that, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.